dokie. Oh, green screen not working out over here. Let's make sure. There we go. Okay. And now, yes, we are live here, people, for yet another episode of Laying It Down with Big D. Hope you're not sick of them yet, because I'm not sick of doing them. We're just getting started here. Today, I am joined by friend, colleague, and org owner of Chicken Coop Esports, which you know I've been rocking that Chicken Coop hat on these episodes, Mr. Kyle Fortier. You may know him as Fortier. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. I'm feeling blessed and positive today, for sure. It's been
because NA is doing well at the major.
No, it's great to see. I think you deal with life, and some days are good, some days are bad. So I just gotta come in swinging with a positive mindset. So that's my outlook today.
I like it. It. Yeah, you ups and downs. You gotta try to find your center in all of it, no matter what. So I think that's a very positive attitude to have. And you've always had this upbeat, positive attitude and outgoing and trying to help. Where would you say that comes from?
Yeah, that is a good question. And I think for me, a lot of adversity through my life. I think I went through a lot of hardships, and at some point I realized that mentally, like, I think I was the one holding myself back. Like, I had to accept ultimate responsibility for everything. So one of the things I've found throughout that journey is like, okay, everything's created from my thoughts, and a thought can be changed, right? And from that perspective, like, I'm responsible for that, and just keep a positive outlook. So I think, yeah, through those adversities, like reading books like How to Win Friends and Influence People, just being positivity outweighs being negative, and I try to keep positive people around me, and just try to lift people up. I genuinely believe in helping people and connecting with them. I think that's the number one way to do it, is to, in some form or fashion, be a light in someone's life. But I think it deeply comes from the adversity I've been through, and like that's the only option for me.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's something very genuine about it. Like, I've gotten to know you for the last 6 months since Chicken Coop. We'll talk about when Chicken Coop officially started, but since you guys picked up the ECL team 6 months ago, I've gotten to know you, and just that entire time, it's nice. It's nice having people in the scene who are so positive. And it's weird because of the fact that we play a game that like brings the worst out of all of us, right? Like, we all play this game that's got high stress moments, and like every single person in the scene has their moments. But like, when you like go to LAN, or like you actually get to know these people outside of the game, people are genuinely good people. Like, for the most part, there's rarely been, well, I shouldn't say rarely, there's been plenty of shitty people in our scene, let's be real.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, it's really nice to have somebody so genuine and outgoing, because that's what our scene needs, especially in our region, to like continue being lifted up. So
yeah,
I appreciate you being that way. And let's yap about some Counter-Strike, shall we?
Let's do it, dude. I love Counter-Strike.
Dude.
If you didn't know.
Yeah, same. Same. Take me all the way back, because you are a fellow gamer veteran like myself, in their mid to late 30s.
Yeah.
What's your earliest memory of Counter-Strike, and how did you get drawn into the into the pole of Counter-Strike?
I could answer that for sure, because it played a major role in my life, outside of esports, but just in my life in general. I am 33 years old currently, so back in the release of Counter-Strike, like the late 90s, early 2000s, I was, I want to say 1998, I was 7 years old at the time, and my brother's 13 years older than me, so I'm the baby of my family of 4 children, and what that looked like is he was working a job in Manhattan at the time, and I was at home, 7 years old, and he had brought me home a computer for the first time, right? And super cool. It was the time when the .coms were booming, and I think I got on the computer and just had a thirst for knowledge, and I'd start trying to learn things, and I'd try to go to him and be like, how do you do this? And he'd be like, figure out yourself. And through that process of having a computer in those early years of gaming, all these platforms coming out, I had Half-Life, right? And that turned into, I don't even remember what it turned into, but it turned into me playing Counter-Strike. And at that point, you know, you could go to Target and get the Counter-Strike package with the CD key on the front. So it was like that, and that was around the time I was playing a little bit of Diablo. But what happened was I would play the game, and then you know, I'd be like, how do I host a server, right? And it generally led me into like learning about IT infrastructure and things like that. But that's where the Counter-Strike journey started. I would sit in my room and I'd play, you know, all these old maps, Scouts and Knives, FY Ice World, just a lot of like organic Counter-Strike. I think then at some point, when Source came out, I was interested in playing, but never had a computer. I didn't get my first gaming computer until 2 years ago, 2023. So through that journey of CS:GO, when it released, I had an iMac and I played on that. I like had a lot of hours. I played with there's no shadows built into that. I play on like the iMac mouse, and I was just dealing with what I had at the time, and really like Counter-Strike grew into like a safe place for me and an escape almost from things I'd be going through. And yeah, it like was second nature to me. So there was journeys of my life where I had a computer and journeys where I didn't, right? And it's just like, I love this game. And on the competitive side, we could get into the story, I guess the origin of the Chicken Coop, but yeah, that's how I started. I got a computer at a young age.
Well, and now that you've got a you said you've gone with and without computers to be able to play Counter-Strike. Now that you've got a computer, do you see yourself ever having another period of your life where you'll like, are you locked in that Counter-Strike's got to stay consistent now for you, or?
Yeah, I ponder on because I play a lot, right? Like I still, as the owner of Chicken Coop, I still work a full-time job outside of this, right? It's an after-hours gig for me. But I don't outweigh that I'd stop playing, but I'd like to think the opposite. I'd like to lean into, how do I do this full time, right? How do I provide myself the space, whether it's content creation? I'd like to, yeah, I don't foresee me not having the computer. I think if anything, it would limit, I'd have to limit myself. I'd be like, okay, a little bit too much gaming, a little bit too much of this. Let's draw it back for a little bit. But I'd hope to not lose what I've built.
Yeah, well, and I know the community is really appreciating what you're building as well. So
yeah,
tell us about how Chicken Coop got started. I know your nephew's been involved, and it's been somewhat of a bonding project. But where did it all start?
Yeah, so I think 2023, I dropped everything, and I was living in Miami at the time, and I had gotten a car with my girlfriend, and we drove back to Arizona, and I stayed with my sister. That's around the time I got the gaming computer. Again, it was like a lull period where like I didn't know if things were going to work out, and I sort of leaned into Counter-Strike and got a friend group there. And then really started establishing myself back in Arizona, got my own place and got my job going. And I think what had happened was I was having my nephew over, right? And he's like 12 years old at the time. And he comes over, and mainly like I just know he plays Roblox, XYZ, and he comes over and he sleeps over, and he's like wants to play on my gaming computer, sure, you know? And he brings up Steam. He's like, "Can I play this?" I'm like, "Of course you could play that. What do you mean? Like, do you even know how or what that is?" He's like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, I have it at home." So he's like getting on and shooting the bots. And I was like, dude, let's play Premiere. Like, why don't we play this together? Like, let's play like competitive Premiere. He couldn't play Premiere at the time. He didn't have a rank. So we got into competitive and Premiere. Around the same time, a buddy from work I met, just working in the software industry. And then he mentioned that he played Counter-Strike, and we got on the game that night for the first time, and we developed a bond. And that first time we got on the game and like expanded our work relationship, Counter-Strike 2 released in that game that we were in. So we built a bond at that same time. That's my buddy Marvin. And Chicken is my nephew. If for those who don't know, he was the 12-year-old. And what had happened was we went from playing Premiere to like, this kid has the most thirst for like knowledge and just wanting to try new things and expanding what he's currently doing. So this 12-year-old wants to, play Premiere, right? And then he found out what ESEA was. I always wanted to play ESEA. I never could. Um, and we put a team together and it was fun. We played open and we had our ups and downs and we had our stressful and tilting and we really didn't know how to play league or any of that, but it was all a fun learning experience. And that sort of got us like dipped our toes in the community. From that point, again, Chicken being like, he's always pushing the next thing, right? And like things that I would never even think of. So at this point, he's on like Twitter and hosting little tournaments, right? Maybe I don't even know about. He's doing some in Europe, like 1v1 tournaments, XYZ, and he's like, let's host one. And a lot of it would be between our friends, our common Discord friend group. And then at some point, we put $150 behind the tournament, and a couple teams showed up. And I started learning the ecosystem more and like understanding like what advanced was and what main teams were and what intermediate, and then realizing like, hey, there's not any tournaments, etc. And my buddy at the time was able to financially put up a little bit of money, and we had put up like a $500 tournament. It went well. Again, we're learning things like admin and just everything in the ecosystem. Like, cool, like we need games, they want to be casted, like players want their games casted, like, okay, if I'm like putting so much hard work, I want to be like the pros. What's that? Like, we need casters. So it was just like an essence of Chicken pushing things forward and then us trying to follow and do it right. So everything was uncomfortable because Chicken's always pushing forward and maybe money wouldn't be there. And he'd be like, okay, let's do this. And we'd raise the funds. So the next one was like the Chicken Coop. We did the Thanksgiving Cash Cup and the New Year's Cash Cup, and I think they were super successful and really like got us really super like, we can do this, because the goals in the beginning were like, let's have a main team sign up and we get a main team, and then an advanced team, or then it's like, how could we get listed on Liquipedia? Like, what's the criteria? Like, just these little things would pop up that Chicken, I'd be like, okay, if we take these steps, we could probably do it. And we'd put these goals on paper. And this is something I strongly believe in just in life, like in like the law of attraction. But we'd put these goals on paper and then we'd overachieve them. And that was just a common goal. So we went from those tournaments to tournaments went well. And we're like trying to do it. And Chicken's like, we could get a team. He's like, why don't we get a team? Like, these guys need help. And I was like, that sounds crazy. But we sort of went through like the financials of it, and me and my buddy were like, okay, we could cover this. Like, this is something we could do. And around that time, that's when we started talking to our first roster and a couple other rosters. We talked to quite a few. And just sort of understanding that ecosystem and where the need was from the North American Counter-Strike side and where we could fill that gap. And yeah, that's sort of like the evolution of the Chicken Coop, and it all came around like found out my 12-year-old nephew, who I had a lot of lost time with, played Counter-Strike. I needed to create a separate Discord because I couldn't have my toxic friends really like laying into a 12-year-old talking about drugs and gambling, all these things, and which it ultimately spills over anyway, playing Counter-Strike, as positive as you want to be. And
right,
at the time, I mean, Chicken, I was like, I'm big on branding, and I used to like film videos in New York City and do all these things. And I'm like, Chicken, you need to pick a name that's going to stick, right? Or like, you need to just have one thing across all these platforms. And at the time, like, Chicken was it for him. We were trying to think of other things, but I'm like, dude, why do you want to be Chicken? He's like, I like chicken, I was like, that's fair, man. Like, I'm not gonna. So it became, and I feel like this is a crucial moment for us. There was a decision-making process of what the name would be. And we were gonna go, his name's Anderson Chickens. And we were gonna go with a Matrix theme and like Mr. Anderson. And the alternative
Ooh.
ended up being the Chicken Coop because we wanted him to be like a streamer. Um, and the alternative was Chicken Coop just because he's chicken and it's the coop. And that's what we went with. And like, we're sort of just here today um, based off that passion project between me and my nephew and some other Discord community members and friends. And that's sort of where we're at. And like, through that process, I think also what sparked that a little bit more was it was 2024 Dallas IEM me and Chicken went to with his dad, and we got to experience that Stewie Miracle Run and
G Stu.
Cheese Stew, and yeah, fuck you Apex. That was legendary. Like everything was just so legendary, and being there with my nephew and
And it was the last CS:GO, or no, that was CS2. Never mind.
no,
Forget
you're
what
good.
I said. Go on.
Yeah, and
I'm talking about Dallas 2023.
yeah, the last CS:GO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, go on.
Yeah, I really got involved in the competitive esports at CS2 stage, but yeah, it just seeing them on stage and like having such a love for the game. Like I'm probably not ever going to be on stage even if I committed 40 hours a week, but it was like so cool. And just like this process with my nephew, I think that really like I was like, yo, we could probably do this. Like we could actually do this. And that's sort of where we're at. Like it's just a lot of passion and I think forward thinking, and we sort of have a lean team that will just get the job done by any means necessary. And that's sort of, yeah, how we got here. Does that do a good explanation of?
Oh yeah, dude, that was sick. We got the full lore. I feel like went through all the pieces of it. It's beautiful, especially leading up to the like seeing it all on the big stage and being like, no, we can do this. And don't sell yourself short, man. I don't think. I mean, I'm sure 40 hours a week helps with orgs and whatnot, but I really think that like it's a matter of taking time. You know, we look at the liquids, the complexities, the Cloud9s, and we're like, man, or the G2s. Those guys have been around for 25 fucking years.
Yeah.
Like they've been doing it for a long time. And so I think that you have the pieces in place to be able to like stick with it for a long time, right? Like it's a bonding experience with your nephew, and you're getting to give back to one of the things that's been one of the most important things in your life, right? Like, so I think as long as you keep doing what you're doing, you're doing the thing, man.
Yeah.
Oh, and we're glad you're out there doing the thing.
I'm trying to stay on the path. I think really the only thing I foresee that could get in the way is funding, and I think that with any obstacle it can be overcame. And I think that's one of the things from a business side that I really am passionate about. And I genuinely mean this with my whole heart. The North American CS2 community's underserved. It's underpaid compared to these Europe regions. And it's a shame that I'd like to see fixed in the near future. And I'm hoping the changes with the VRS and the regional ranking systems will really impact the region and provide that ecosystem to be able to support teams at the top of North American Counter-Strike all being salaried. That's the goal I'd like to see. I'd like to see the casters being paid, and I think we could work towards that. And I just am extremely optimistic about esports with the way technology is moving and kids being on iPads and they're choosing to consume content via the computer.
The cat's gonna be a part of this every time.
It's good. My dogs are there in the background. There's actually one just joined.
Yeah,
one just joined us
perfect
on cue. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's another thing. It's just like a big passion behind it, and like trying to figure out like, okay, this is the current state of the ecosystem, and although maybe I may not be able to provide exactly what I'd like to for players, I strongly believe we can get there. And it's going to take a village. It can't just be me and one team, right? It has to be a village. And I think that's where the community has been awesome. And that's where I think I thrive, is reaching out to people and talking to people and getting to know people on a human level, and like trying to, if I do have anything I could offer, try to be of assistance. to use the word gate. I'm not like a gatekeeper. Like if I could help anyone, that's like my goal. So yeah, I'm just optimistic. I'm optimistic.
Well, I love it, dude. I love it, and it's not blind optimism either. I think you're a realist as well, which is a good combination. So, to stay optimistic and understand the path that lies before you it's a great combo. Well, and I was gonna ask you too, like you've talked a little bit about it, but like what are some of the hurdles that you've faced over like the last 6 months with like roster changes and just like getting a team to LAN or finding tournaments for them to play in and getting VRS points. How much have you been involved with those kinds of things, and like what how do you deal with those?
Yeah, I think we're talking 6 months, and it's been an extreme learning process, and I've been trying to do like full immersion, like, and that's sort of where I started and trying to network. It has been extremely difficult. It's been stressful, um, but it's something that I anticipate. Like didn't have the experience, right? It wasn't like I was doing this for X amount of years, and here we are today. It's been 6 months. Like we got our first roster outside of me and Chicken playing open in pretty much December of 24, January 1st of this year, so 6 months ago. And that journey, I would say it's been a learning experience. Yeah, like I'm getting more involved or understanding where, from an org side, I'd like to see us, and we're not there yet. At times, I felt like I would sort of have a better read on what was going on than the players, and that was frustrating. Um, but I don't think that was due to anyone's fault. I think rules were changing a lot. There was a big shift with the VRS system that players didn't understand. And also, yeah, it was just, I wasn't as involved as I'd like to be. I think I can only start getting more involved as I learn more, right? We obviously got the chance to meet at Frag Vegas. I was very unknown about what a LAN was, what went into it. I learned a lot from that experience. And unless I continue to have these experiences and fail and try to fail forward, I can't provide like any positivity to it. So like from my perspective, it's like, okay, there was some stressful moments, but it's like, how do we look back and learn from it? And that's the biggest thing. So on the roster side, like coming with this new roster, having a real understanding before we set out, and through my experience that's been with MDS, and just like an agreement on what our vision is and being aligned in those visions. Yeah, I just didn't understand the ecosystem. So was just doing our best for what we had. Our original roster wanted a coach, and we brought in Striker from Kazakhstan. Shout out Striker, amazing human, just human being level. Love that guy. I would love to bring him America full time. But yeah, I think that's where I'm looking to head, is be more involved, right, and put those pieces in place, and the structure that's lacking in the North American systems. I do think that's going to take time, and I don't want to get ahead of myself. But one of my plans is to spin up a Hatch Academy. We're going to call it. It's just going to be
like
called
that.
Hatch, right? So the Chicken Coop Hatch, right? And the branding is going to be based off that. But really, to get that structure in place at an early age, and a coaching and a system, that way it's not something foreign as they're 25 years old in their career, and they're, you know, bouncing around team to team, and they're having to learn this. It should be instilled from an early age, right? Just like if you grew up going to basketball, you know, you went and practiced every day from a set schedule to XYZ. So just having these structures in place, and these etiquettes, and more professionalism, I think, will be key. Right now, MDS is definitely leading the charge with our current roster. But me and him have a communication that I wouldn't say, we just had issues with our first roster that I think people were aware of, and it had to do with rule changes, and yeah, just something I want to try to limit in the future. I really want to try to work with the team, and the current roster I'm super happy to work with and be able to help out, ideally, is the way I see it. And I try to look at ourselves as a pro player org, right? Obviously, we're not salarying players right now, but I think like just really having them feel good and giving them most of the benefits and knowing like, hey, these things are paid for, and I'm not really looking for anything in return, but I really want to grow something together. So yeah, it's been a learning
I think
experience.
Well, and I think speaking of MDS, I think that you have a good group of guys to do that with. They've been around playing together for the last year and a half, almost 2 years now. I think like they're a roster that is really stuck together, and I think they're a lot of fun to watch as well. When they were under the Take Flight banner at Frag 18, I got to spend a lot of time talking with Jay Chance, and I mean he's just got such an amazing head for the game of Counter Strike. I think that you found a really good roster to like grow with. We'll see what we say in 6 months.
Yeah,
You never know in the game of Counter Strike,
yeah.
right? But I still like I'm happy to see that you're still going forward, like you said. Like you said,
Yeah,
as long as you're failing forward, you're still moving forward, right?
I think there were a lot of critical junctures for Chicken Coop. Like, mind you, we started with me and my nephew. Like, this wasn't a thing that was like anticipated or like, but man, like when we do something and I have Chicken message me, like, um, just like that, I really love doing this or I don't want it to stop. It motivates me, and I think yeah, there's been like a lot of hard times, like I think even coming back from Vegas, I wanted the roster to stay together really bad. And I invested a lot in that, but I think I was super happy with the results. Like going into it, I knew the roster was probably going to split up, but I really wanted to go there for the presence of Chicken Coop as an organization, right? And just a standard that we're going to live by. And although we didn't get the results like long term, like sticking with the roster, I feel good about working with MDS and all the guys from the previous Take Flight and the Bad News Capper Bars. And um, I think, yeah, that's just what I love it. And at these critical junctures, right? Like after Frag Vegas, like I was at a turning point. Like, okay, where do we go from here? And or do we stop? Like, is this worth it? And it's just always been like I'm big believer. Like, dude, I'm living once. I have one shot at this life. I'm gonna take the risk and I'm gonna give it everything I have and try to be the best. So that's where we're at. We're here, and like no matter what happens with this roster, I'm just happy to be in the mix, right? I'm right where I want us to be. I think I want a team competing at the top of North American Counter Strike. I want a roster that's looking to improve and help put the pieces in wherever I can do fit until we could be in a position to really have some impact.
Yeah, I think that's great. And you said it, and it was it's not said much by the kids anymore, but by the kids of our generation, YOLO. You only live once, baby. That was the big phrase 20 years ago,
Yeah,
15 years ago. So
yeah.
maybe it wasn't that far back. It's not that old
No,
of a
yeah,
phrase. I'm
yeah, it
I'm
was
tripping
when
over
I was
here.
in high school for sure, and like we had our own YOLO face, like you only live once, fuck it, shit happens.
YOLO.
Yeah.
Hashtag YOLO. Yeah.
So yeah, and just like a lot of that comes from like I nerd out on some things, and a lot of things that got me through tough times in my life. So going on the book side, like philosophers, this guy Marcus Aurelius, right?
Hmm.
These Roman and Greek emperors and philosophers, and that sort of memento mori is a Latin word, and it means remember you're gonna die, right? And it's like almost like looking at life like that. Like, okay, I'm going to die, so what am I gonna do today to be different? Am I gonna lay in bed all day, or am I gonna go do? So I try to really lean on that when I'm facing tough times, or even this morning. I chatted a little bit, but like wasn't in the most positive mental mindset this morning, and really had to shift that gear, right? And I know that I'm responsible, so yeah, remember you're gonna die. You only live once. Like I basically said to the team before Vegas because things were rough, right? And I pushed them, I think, to go to that event. We were looking at other things, but I was like, dude, like we have one shot at this. Like, what are we doing? Like, are you guys here to play count? And we were able to all get on the same terms and do it, even though we knew it probably wasn't going to work out with staying together. Um, but looking back, what were the outcomes? I'd be sitting here today like, damn, I wish I went to Vegas. Maybe I wouldn't.
Right.
Maybe I wouldn't have a roster today. So I
Yeah.
look at these pivotal moments where I had the decision to do something, right, or not do something, and like inaction is terrible. So I think taking action and just not being afraid to fail, really, like, yeah, not being afraid to fail.
These episodes of laying it down are getting deeply philosophical. I love it. This is
Yeah,
someday hundreds of years from now they're gonna find
I
these
think.
YouTube videos with a couple hundred views and be like, wow, this guy had so many people on with such great insight.
Yeah, and I think that's true. And I think Counter Strike's a deep game, and there's a lot of layers to it. It's something that I love about the game, and I really love getting inside IGL's head or like understanding because, yeah, it's just so deep, right? And it's almost like chess in an essence. So I love that aspect about it, and yeah, I love the platform that you're providing as well. And just like getting to meet people like you and work with you and build on the dream together because I truly believe like we come up as a unit, as a village. Like it truly takes a village.
I appreciate
No
that.
one, no
Thank
one
you.
would
Yeah,
know the
I
Chicken Coop story if we didn't have this conversation, right?
well, and now they will, and it'll be encapsulated in this video forever for anybody to see,
Forever. Yeah.
and for and no matter what happens, you can look back and see where it all started as well. When 20 years from now, you're the Jason Lake of the scene.
And that's what,
You can sit up there.
yeah, I didn't get, I really, when I was in Dallas last week, I know Jason was there and I really wanted to get a chance to meet him. I wasn't able to make it work, just because things got a little hectic, but I think that's like a key. Like I watched Jason Lake, like you watched the YouTube video, the best clan leader ever, and it's Jason Lake on Complexity's journey with the CRT monitors, and he's behind them, and he's talking to like that's what I love, man, and that's what I want to emulate, and that immersion. I don't want this isn't like a money thing for me. Like oh, I want to sign this roster and they win X Y Z. Like I want to be involved in the journey, and I want to be involved with my team and travel. I think, yeah, that's just the dream. And I think it's possible because of people like Jason Lake, um, because of people like Jack at Cloud9, like all these North American guys that put the pieces together in whatever form or fashion. We just need to emulate that and do that at our level, right? And build up to where, uh, yeah, we could have the shot to just compete on those tier one stages.
Well, you guys, you have the dedication and passion. Like I said, and you said it. As long as you're not doing this for the money in this scene, and you like, and this goes for anybody, not just you, but like, as long as somebody's doing this for the passion, I think that it's a much more rewarding journey in that sense, because you're always going to have moments that are positive in that either learning experiences. It's not always going to be perfect, but I think that we've talked a lot about it. Having the right mindset and being passionate about the things that you're doing is going to make them feel a lot better at the end of the day than if you're going into it like, well, I have to do this thing because I think I'm going to make money from it, right? Like that's just not a sustainable model. So,
Yeah.
I want to,
Yep.
I was gonna ask you. I want to switch, not subjects necessarily, but kind of expand outwards from just the chicken coop sphere. What what are some of the? Uh, I mean, obviously NACS is not on the level with like EU, and this is what I always want to ask everybody on the show is what are some of the glaring issues with NACS for you, and what do you think that we could be doing to like lift our floor up?
That's yeah, I think like from just like hearing players feedback or some of the tweets, like it's obvious that and with these teams coming in from other countries for the major and being able to compete, like what I hear is generally that there's not the scrims there that are at the same tier of experience. Meaning obviously Europe and Asia have bigger player pools. They have a more developed system. So they're getting better gameplay. And I think that ultimately this all leads back to sort of what I was saying. And it's like, how do 10 people spin up orgs that care about the ecosystem and want to put structure in place that aren't trying to money grab, and at the same time it be sustainable. It's not going to be sustainable until that second problem gets fixed, right? Outside the game, which is the influx of money into the scene. And I think, and that's where I'm thinking that the VRS changes will help and make North America its own region that could stand by itself, where people want to compete in. And once there's more competition in this space, right, hopefully that raises the bar and the standard where the structure's in place at earlier ages, and these players are getting more developed and the system's more developed, and there's more contracted players or agents that are able to help maneuver these players and help them from getting screwed over and things like that. Yeah, I think that it's going to take a village of like 10 people like me, and they're there, right? You talk to Tyler from the Tours, like he's got the pat, right? It's just, it needs to be people like Saban that are out here doing it and putting in the work and getting the structure in place, I think. But ultimately, I think the lack of money for guys like us is the main problem. But that also, I think, comes from an ecosystem that there wasn't really, everything was foreshadowed because of tier 1 CS, right? But there's going to be a tier 1 CS in North America now, in my opinion. And it also is, in my opinion, that, and you see the changes, but this is something I was reverberating a month ago with some of the players, like, hey, with ECL, like, you guys are so focused on this prestigious ECL, which it's great and it's a great platform, but you guys need to be thinking as a VRS course. And what am I doing? So I just think that we're going to see a tier 1 scene emerge in North America. And I think that there needs to be leadership from org sides that are helping putting structure in place and help building that out as it ramps up to being sustainable. And sponsors are wanting to get involved again. Or maybe there's outside revenue streams. I could see it's no secret that betting partners are the number one source of income for some of these European teams, right? Now, like I think Jason Lake said it in one of his recent interviews, if team from Europe's getting 3 to 4 million from their betting sponsor, and they could dump that out of the salary, I think at 20,000, right? Say you had 5 players and you're paying them 20,000 a month, that's 100,000. That's 1.2 for the year. If they're getting 3 to 4 million just from that, their operational costs are covered, plus they're in profit. Like, I don't know what that as actually looks like. I'm eager to find out, or like fill the gap on how. I just believe that the ability to get salaried players is going to come. I don't know if that's going to be because betting restrictions get more XYZ, and that floods more money into the scene. But I think if you even take that factor out of it, I think if the VRS changes impact the scene enough to where, again, it's tier 1 North America Counter-Strike, like, and there's that structure in place and that scene, that those orgs will be there and be able to salary players at that level. So you see an ECL with, 16 teams or orgs that are able to have a salaried level, and like, okay, I need to get here before I could get internationally, right, traveling. So I just am what they say bullish on the North American scene going up, and I don't have another option, right? What is my option to be negative Impact and negative Nancy and be oh, I'm jaded and this isn't going to work out? No, it's going to work out because I'm going to make it work out. It's just the way I look at it.
That's how I think more and more people in our scene are looking at it, and I think you're very onto something with the fact that our scene needs to, or not our scene, our region within our scene needs to kind of unionize and not necessarily make a union, but get together and have kind of a unilateral goal of lifting the thing upwards together, right?
We need to set a standard, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
We need to set a standard. I don't know what that looks like yet, but I'm trying to set standards at Chicken Coop, right? And that's where I want to start, and just trying to push those next limits, whether it's like and there's a lot of roadblocks, but just trying to do things right to emulate what it takes, right? Like, yeah, sometimes you got to just play the part and hopefully everything will work out. And that's sort of where we're at.
I I think so. Well, and you mentioned like the fact that like gambling sponsors are a big deal. Something that I've learned in doing this for 2.5 years of like working with more people and getting to know the scene more from like a caster's perspective and getting to like know more competitive players and not coming at it from like just a Counter-Strike player that plays a lot of Counter-Strike, but like somebody that's getting invested in the region. You are not getting free Counter-Strike without gambling sponsors, period. Like that's just gambling sponsors are why we all have completely free Counter-Strike to watch all the time with giant production budgets that you never have to pay a single dime to watch, right? Like they are, but obviously that's something that isn't like, I mean, it has its own issues,
Like
right? And it's
ethically,
always been an
yeah,
issue. Yeah, ethically, it has issues. Thank you. That's the word I was looking
yeah,
for. It's a gray area of ethics, and that's why I was talking to Trata about this as well. Like it, it feels like he was saying that it feels like our scene has been, or our region has been starting to try to hold like well, actually not just our region, our whole scene worldwide has been trying to hold like gambling sites and like skin sites to be more accountable. So like, well, it's still not a perfect system. They're also trying to be like we've got to hold ourselves to a higher. Oh, hello, can you hear
I
me?
can hear you. Yeah,
My Discord just dropped out of nowhere there for
you're
a moment.
good.
Okay,
You're
here we
good.
go.
We got to hold
um
ourselves.
Yeah, we got to hold it. We got to hold ourselves accountable, like you said, and hold ourselves to a higher standard because that's how we can actually get like somebody like the casinos and the gambling sites to hold themselves to a higher standard as
Yeah,
well, right? Like they're not going to be the ones that are represented by the org if they're some shady skeezy site that's advertising to kids, right? Or has zero age verification system. But the
right.
ones that are actually like, no, hey, we're this is, on the up and up. Those are, so I think that
Well,
what you're talking about, I'm trying to say there's a whole roundabout way is setting a better standard for orgs for is going to be better for players and for gambling
yeah,
sponsors.
100%. And that's definitely, I think, like legislate. And I think that's what's when you come into the American market versus Europe, that, like every region is gonna have different restrictions as far as gambling. Every country, U.S. has a lot of restrictions because they need to have their hands in the mix. They need to put those regulations. They need to get their taxes, whatever it is. But that is probably takes time to go through like legislation where some of these things like online casinos have been legal for X amount of years in Europe, and they're fully developed and there are systems in place, and it's the norm for them, right? Or and in Canada and other states. So I think once that builds out, yeah, and I think the stigma behind it and ethics like that there is an issue there, and there needs to be regulations, and children shouldn't be on there gambling. It shouldn't be really, in essence, promoted, and I think there's a big issue there. But the reality is, if I turn on and watch a football game, every commercial I see is either MGM or whatever, you could fill in FanDuel,
Yeah,
XYZ, and
DraftKings, all of
it's
them.
the other thing too, right? Whether it's alcohol they're promoting. So I think that's the norm for the industries, and I think I'm not going to sit on like I don't know. I just think that maybe that's missing right now, and they're dumping a lot of money into the other markets, and maybe that will start opening up and help bridge the gap. Although that's not like the most positive thing to say, like, oh, I hope gambling saves the region, like, but I think that outside of that, the strongest thing will be the North American region competing in a tier one sense and building up because the way that Valve changed these ratings makes it possible, right? And then when you have these tier one teams that become notable, right? Whatever orgs take that shape, and they're competing at that level, um, the viewerships will go up because people are going to be more interested. oh, Chicken Coop's playing today. Like they know Chicken Coop, and there's an ecosystem that they're competing at the top level. In addition to that, like the viewership goes up, right? People get more involved in the emotional journeys, right, of the players because you're able to provide that with like having a little more infrastructure. And yeah, I'm thinking that even if gambling doesn't like save everyone's day, that there's going to be good brands out there and partners to work with. I know at Chicken Coop, I've been super picky. There's a couple like that I'd like to work with, but we've had some offers, and there's just like some things I can't get behind, right? Like I'm not going to get behind some half-baked skin site or gambling, whatever may come across. So I think you have to be presented with the right opportunities or go out and find them. And I believe also just like from a owner's perspective, it's where we're at right now. It's all about what we can negotiate as an org, right? Like, can I go out and get a brand deal and like building value in that way? So that's the path I'm sort of after is like, how can I continue to build value as an org, not just for the players and the team, but also as like a marketing arm for a brand. And what that looks like is like doing actually like pointed things, like when you're at the LAN, have activations set up with sponsors. But all that takes planning, but these are things that need to be done across the board at all the orgs, right? And we all at this, I don't know what you want to call it, tier 3 level, right? Tier 2 NA level in ECL. I don't know what it is. Tier 4, it's irrelevant to me.
I think it's tier 2, tier 3.
Yeah.
I think that ECL and the top advanced teams, like the top 30 advanced teams or so, I think those blend tier 2 and tier 3. I think if you're not playing in
Yeah.
ECL and you're off, like we only really have Complexity and M80 and Wildcard as our tier 1 teams.
Right.
I know people will say Liquid, but Liquid has been like a
They're
multinational,
international.
like
They're
international roster for a while now.
Yeah.
I don't consider them an NA team.
I mean, you have huge like
And it's a German org anyway.
yeah, there's just a big disparity, man, between these big orgs and the smaller ones. Like it was so cool seeing Nip in Vegas and Exist there coaching and the staff. I'm like, okay, cool. Like I don't think I'm too far off from like emulating. Like we look almost like we're getting there, right?
You look like them.
What's missing is the money. They're operating at a $12.6 million loss this year. I forget what the financials were, but it's like, okay, like if they can operate at a 12x million loss, like someone's got to be out there that can help us out with
Yeah.
like dude, like I don't need much, but though I think those
I
opportunities
only need 5 million.
I think those opportunities will come. And like I did it, I talked to a CEO of a software company yesterday, and he was giving me some advice and feedback, and I showed him my deck and things I'm getting built for the future. And yeah, I think it's just we just gotta get it to the point where we could have the region solid. And I think it just takes these steps and putting the people in place, and then hopefully getting the backing won by the community and then also the sponsors. I think that's huge. So regardless how any of that plays out, I'm confident Chicken Coop as a brand is going to be here to stay, and we can continue pushing forward. Even if we were like grassroots all the way through, but I don't want to be like a Liquid or an international team. I like the Jason Lake vibe and really trying to just be pro players. Liquid's just we're operating at such different levels. And hopefully, the infrastructure comes where we could balance that out and bridge the gap a little bit.
I agree. Well, I appreciate you sharing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
If players are making $40,000 a month, and like it's possible, we just got to get it here. Like
It's possible.
The money's there, the talent's there. We just got to bring it to light.
Well, I appreciate you sharing all that, and I appreciate the hard work that you are doing for our community. I only have a couple of more questions here, and these are going to be the same final questions I've been asking. Although here, once this major is done, I'm going to have to strike one of these questions. But we're on day 2 of the major right now as of recording. What are some of your thoughts so far from what you've seen, and what are some of your predictions for the Austin major?
I don't know. Like, I think one, love the format, love the amount of teams that are in there, love the look at all these different names getting opportunities. People that were so close to getting opportunity. I really like the format. I think best of ones are a little tough though. I think, but it's interesting and it's in like more of the Swiss format. So I think this best of one spice things up because I think anything can happen. You know, you talk about a tier 1 team versus a 2, 3, 4, like with our original roster in this first ECL, this season 49, we just got through. Like we were really like a top tier advanced team that got put into ECL, and we took a map off Energy, right? So I think, and I think Energy could take maps off Vitality, right? So I think the gaps aren't as big as we think they are. And with the major, I want the Falcons to win just because I'm a Falcons fan right now.
Okay.
But they fell
With that-
short. Yeah, I don't want Vitality. I'm a Vitality, like, not a hate watcher, but like the real reason behind it is Apex egoed me for a photo 2 years ago. So then that fuck you Apex stuff. So I was like sort of been riding that, but he's an amazing player. And yeah, I'd like to see Falcons. I'd like to see Nico and Mondesi win it. I'm a big fan of them, so it'd be nice to see them. But really, it's cool to see anyone there and they're competing, and you know, just these young kids getting a shot to be on that stage is so amazing. And even the older guys, the Kerrigans, I look up to. Like, that could be me. Like, let me hop in the game. You know, like, so.
Could be. You never know, baby.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just, yeah, I'd like to. It's probably like a little bit of a hot take, but I'd like to see Falcons win this major.
No, I think there's a lot of people that
or
want
North
to see
American team,
Vitality.
1,000%, right? Like, obviously, I just think in the logistics, like, it's going to be a tough run.
We talked about Kyle being a realist.
Wild card was looking good. Yeah, I sell it for. I'm from New Jersey, and I'm very straight up. But wild card was looking pretty good. Complexity obviously has to stand in and dealing with that, but they could still see their way through. I don't have the scores pulled up or anything right now, but I know they dropped the map to NRG this morning. Yeah, or they dropped the best of 3 series, so they're probably
Complexity lost to NRG today.
they're in 1-2 bracket.
So they're in the 1-2 bracket. So they at least get best of 3s now, which is where I think they'll easily climb out of this area and go 3-2 now.
Yeah,
they should. But yeah, I am a big Vitality fan. I'm actually sad to hear about Apex egoing you.
No, he was locked in, bro. It was after a map, and he was probably walking to go get ready for the next map. It was just
okay.
I was just being funny.
Well,
but yeah,
okay.
I'm a fan of Apex. I'm a fan of Apex.
Yeah, because he's one of the old guys up there too, dude. He's doing it. He's top of the world right now.
He's talking his
with
shit.
his team. And talking his shit, dude, and he's so that
this
fuck
is the
you
but,
Apex
this is the
last
button
year.
to shoot. Like, that's my favorite. You know, you get to hold it up and let them know. Like, what are you doing? Yeah, the fuck you Apex was good.
Dude, I was there last year at Dallas for that as well, and just watching his reaction to it, like he leaned super hard into it. But
yeah,
I'm a big Vitality fan. I've said this a million times on Laying It Down, but I'll say it again. I've been watching after Cloud9 dissipated as a roster in like 2018 after they won the major. I was left with a void of trying to like a roster because I was not going to be a Liquid fan after being anti-Liquid for so long, and I saw that Vitality project start that was investing in ZywOo, and then it had like Apex, RPK, NBK, and I think Shocks or Scream was the 5th one at the time, and I was like, oh damn, look at this roster, this is crazy. So I've been following the project for a long time, and just been a big ZywOo fan, and to see them finally be the like ultra dominant force that I know that they could have been this whole time,
right,
is really cool to see. And then it's also just cool to see outside of being a Vitality fan. I think it's really cool to find we have not had a dynasty team that is like unbeatable like this since Astralis was like at their peak form. I know there have been moments with other teams in the last 5-6 years, but it's not been like we had the Fnatic,
The
we had the NIP into the
NIP
Fnatic, into the SK,
into
and then the
Australis.
Astralis,
Yeah, and
but we haven't.
I think we
But
have.
the floor was just raised so much at that point that everybody was so competitive because Astralis learned how to perfect the game. And so everybody's been mimicking Astralis since then. So to see somebody finally break the game again is really
Right.
exciting.
And I think we saw that gap again because the CS2 release, right? And the change in MR12 being implemented and the economy changes and then those still trying to be sorted through. I think it really changed the dynamic of the game where like a lot of it on the strategical side was like, okay, we have XYZ rounds to save and we could build our economy back. And we know once we're going to get our economy, we're confident in our gameplay that we could doing it back. Where now it's like you got to force a lot. Like you have to have impact rounds. I feel like with the MR12, like you can't just be saving for multiple rounds. So yeah, it's exciting to see Vitality on that streak. But I'd like to see someone else win it this tournament, this major.
Oh, oh yeah. I wouldn't be sad if it happened, but I'm definitely rooting for Vitality right now.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun. All right, dude. Well, I've got two last questions here for you. First off, where does the name Fortier come from?
Yeah. So I mentioned I live in Arizona right now, but I grew up in Toms River, New Jersey, and my dad's adopted, so it's not like my like blood last name, but so Kyle Fortier would be the spelling of my last name. But growing up in New Jersey, there were so many Kyles, so many, right? Like everyone was naming their kid Kyle at that time. So we call each other by our last name in New Jersey, like Hutter, Stariti, right? Like these Italian names, and mine was Fortier, but all of my friends would just say Fortier, like so Fortier, you hear that vernacular and it just became the play on the name. So that's where the 40 and air comes from. It's just a play on my last name and what people called me my whole life. It was funny moving to Arizona and people not calling me 40, like and they'd call me Kyle. I'd be like, what?
Who?
Who? Yeah. So it's just a play on my last name, and that's where it got its origin.
I love getting to hear these stories of people's names.
Yeah.
Okay, last question here for you, Fortier.
Yeah.
This is your opportunity. I mean, we've had plenty of insight here, but this is your opportunity to really get on a soapbox and preach whatever you want. This can be Counter-Strike related, esports related, life related. But if you could talk to a younger version of yourself, like, I don't know, go back like 20 years or so, what would be the advice you would give them? And this can be advice shared for all of the next generation watching this.
Yeah. That's a good question. I'm trying to take the time to think and not just spit anything out. I think if I could go back, and it's something maybe I'm still searching for, but if I could tell my younger self something, one, it's not that deep life, and two, like find a mentor at a young age. Find someone doing what you want, and like find someone to help mentor you through that process and help guide you. And that's something I think I'm still searching for in essence. And I'm finding little nuggets here and there of people that'll help. But yeah, I think you need someone in life. I think it's one of the pillars, and that anything is truly possible. But get someone that's done it before and can give you that guidance. Whether it's in life, whether it's in business, whether it's personal relationships. Yeah. I think leaning on someone that has experience and that wisdom and being open-minded to taking their advice is something I wish I did at an early age instead of being so hard-headed and being on that mindset that I'm just going to figure it all out myself and I could do it no matter what. Like, you have to have the humility to ask people for help.
I think that's brilliant, and I think it fits very much in line with the rest of what we've talked about here is that you can't do it alone. We got to lean on each other and help each other out. So
Yes,
I
sir,
think that's
brother.
brilliantly said. And I appreciate you coming through and being on this show, dude. It's been wonderful chatting with you.
Yeah.
Why don't you give us some like plugs or like where do we find Where do we find you? Give us some promotional items, whatever you got here for
Yeah.
the end for the people at home.
I think it's just easy enough. Like we have the website, chickencoop.gg. Just find us on Twitch, man. Come in the Twitch chat and just say chicken fucking coop, man. Even if you're a fucking Valorant player, like just come and come support the wave. I think we're gonna do something special in North American Counter-Strike. I really believe in that. And yeah, just come drop in the stream, say hello. I love and reach out to me personally. I love meeting people. The amount of people I speak to, and like, I liked having conversations and seeing where I could help, or like, where maybe I could be that mentor to someone, right? In addition, or just give those nuggets of advice and like maybe have impact on someone's life. Like I do believe that everyone leaves a legacy, and I believe we have the ability to impact those around us to decide if that's a positive legacy or a negative one. So we have to sit and really think, what kind of legacy am I trying to leave?
Well, I think you're leaving a positive one, dude. So thanks again for joining me.
Big
Thanks
D.
for yapping. And and thank you all for watching.
Yeah.
That is it.
Hell yeah.